Okay, ladies and gentlemen, dear Kenyans, we are the Kenya Church Alliances and Ministries, KCCM, which is a coalition or the coming together of all the evangelical, Pentecostal, and charismatic churches in the country. The leadership representing all those umbrella bodies. That should be very clear. And we came together because we would want to speak to the nation concerning the matters of BBI and what our position and stand is. Dear Kenyans, the journey towards the realization of the 2010 Constitution was a long and tedious process that involved a lot of time and resources. The Kenyan people were tired of the long wait, and all they wanted was Bora Katiba. We welcome the spirit under the BBI report in the proposed constitutional amendments, which will be a guarantee of the country having Katiba Bora. As we look forward into having amendments in our constitution, we express our disappointment on the failure by the BBI task force in taking into consideration the proposals by the side that campaigned against the Constitution during the 2010 referendum. The proposals by the church then were also not considered in the current report, which is quite disheartening. This is in contrast with the idea behind the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. We welcome the optimism from the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, in the meeting with the pastoralist communities that the report will be open for dialogue and our proposals of all Kenyans put into considerations before the document is subjected to the people. This will ensure a realization of Katiba Bora. We wish to state that even as a country considers for the constitutional amendments, that we are disappointed by the implementation of the 2010 Constitution 10 years later. It's quite evident that the process has been passive and only focusing on areas that favor those tasked with its implementation. We call upon the tasked stakeholders in the implementation process to rejuvenate the faith of Kenyans by fully implementing the 2010 Constitution to the letter. This will be a maximum guarantee to Kenyans that the proposed amendments under BBI will be fully implemented. The Executive Committee of the Kenya Council of Church Alliances and Ministries, after carefully reviewing the BBI report, wishes to state the following. Number one, during the 2010 referendum, the church raised pertinent issues by highlighting some contentious provisions in the Constitution on issues on legalization of abortion and homosexuality, threat to religious freedom, etc., which we still express the need to be addressed. 68.6% of Kenyan voters voted for the 2010 Constitution. However, in the spirit of building bridges, we need to bring on board the 30% of those who voted against the Constitution. It is time to make peace with our past. BBI was meant to lead us to a more united and cohesive country. The 2005 constitutional referendum left the country more divided. We should learn from the past. We welcome the idea of building bridges. Some have been built and others broken. There is need for an extension of the period to ensure that we achieve a united nation. No Kenyan should be left behind. Number three, the issue of independence of the three arms of the government needs a critical discussion and solution. The proposal by the BBI on the introduction of the judiciary ombudsman to be appointed by the president will affect the independence of the judiciary. The current tussle between the executive and the judiciary on the appointment of judges is a clear demonstration on the importance of safeguarding the independence of this critical arm of government. We all need a judiciary that enjoys the confidence of Kenyans so that it can serve as an arbiter, even in times of elections where losers will seek justice with confidence that the outcome will be fair and just. Number 4, we acknowledge that the BBI identification of divisive elections to be the problem. We are, however, opposed to the proposal on the electoral management body. The country has had post-election violence as witnessed at the end of almost every election period. And the IEBC has been blamed for some of its shortcomings. We are skeptical as church leaders on the proposed reforms in the electoral body IBC and believe that this is not a guarantee to a free and fair elections. The only cure is by carrying an in-depth audit in the electoral system and ensuring that all the proposed reforms are implemented to the letter. The issue of electoral body independence needs to be addressed and guaranteed, and political players should not have an active role in nominating commissioners, hence a recipe for manipulation. Number 5, we welcome the recommendations on expanding the executive through the reintroduction of the position of the Prime Minister and 2 deputies. However, we want to note that this is not a guarantee to having an inclusive government. Full implementation of the current constitution, spirit and letter, can still help achieve inclusion. There is need for further consultation in a way that it will be compelling that the election winner to make appointments in a manner that is favorable to all communities and not the majority communities. Number 6, the introduction of the leaders of opposition is a step in the right direction. This will facilitate the opposition to play their oversight role and check the performance of the government of the day. Great move that will ensure the runners up takes up the position in keeping check the government performance. This will help in cooling the temperatures of one, making it mandatory to win the presidential elections. Number 7, we welcome the proposals to increase the revenue allocation to counties from the current 15% to the proposed 35%. This will be a great boost in ensuring that development in the mashinani, as witnessed in all the counties, is done. With increased resources, there should be enhanced accountability so that Kenyans can get value for their taxes. The relevant bodies tasked with fighting corruption need to pull up their socks and ensure that public money is not lost. Number 8, we welcome the proposal for a 7-year tax amnesty on youth's enterprise as a way of empowering them. The implementation of this proposal needs proper frameworks to ensure that it's not abused and used to benefit those who are politically connected. Number 9, the 2010 Constitution established independent commissions, which include the National Police Service Commission. This was to ensure independence of the National Police Service from interference from any public or private persons. The proposal to have the Kenya Police Council to be headed by the Cabinet Secretary for Interior will compromise its independence by giving the executive an increased role in the running of the service. We are opposed to this proposal and call for the retention of the current structure as it is. Number 10, the contentious 2/3 gender rule, as contemplated and envisaged, has not been implemented. We find the recommendations to scrap the women representatives 6 in the National Assembly and have them replaced by women Senate seats in the Senate, which is a lower house, to be retrogressive. Women need to be involved in making critical key decisions in the running of the government, with most of the crucial legislations being passed in the National Assembly. Let them not be pacified. We also call upon the government and all concerned stakeholders to carry out extensive civic education on the same and have people make their own independent choices. We recommend that a national delegates conference be convened so that the outstanding issues are discussed and consensus achieved, so that BBI process does get us more united and a cohesive country. We are concerned about the hurry, the speed at which some of our political leaders want this process completed. We need to make sure the bridges are built and not burned. We need, like we have said, a more united and cohesive country. Let's remember, there will be Kenya even after 2022. We will present our recommendations and propose amendments on the issues the church raised in 2010 and our proposed constitution amendments to the handshake principles. Thank you, and the Lord bless you. Amen. I'll ask our Deputy Chair, Bishop Dr. Steve Mutua, to pick it up from there in Kiswahili.
Kwanza tunataka kuwashukuru wanahabari, tunasema ni asante sana kwa kufika.
Raise the questions and we'll be helping each other here with Bishop Mark.
Yes, let me say this. As one of our leaders said here.
Thank you.
Yes, this is a very good question. Thank you very much. My name is Bishop Nchuki. I want to answer that question. As our chairman here and one of the leaders said here, that the BBI does not belong to an individual. BBI belongs to the weakest and the strongest, to the poorest and to the richest. And so the question of them saying they are not going to accommodate any proposal, I think this could be their BBI. If it is a BBI for this nation, it should be accommodative. They said they are all inclusive. How can we be all inclusive when we have no representation and we are not ready to hear our proposals and what our concern is with the public? We represent almost 18 millions yeah, Pentecostals and evangelicals and charismatics. So we are not just talking here as bishops. We are talking on behalf of our people in this country, the poor, the rich, and those who are really marginalized. So I think this message should go to Honorable Raila Odinga, should go also to the President himself, to understand that we are representing the nation also. We need to be heard, and our people need to be heard. Thank you very much.
Next. Yes.
My question is what you just mentioned, the 38 or so. Would you, as an organization now, have what you have identified as the BBI move around the country to collect the views of the Kenyans? Did you, as an organized alliance, give your views? Were they captured in the current level?
I think he can
Let me answer that, and then Bishop Mark will add.
Yes.
Mark, you can come this way too.
We'll keep on moving.
Okay.
Thank you for that question. I was one of the leaders who appeared before the committee at the Laiko Regency. Unfortunately, like we have said, unfortunately, what we presented at the Laiko Regency to the committee was not picked up. not even captured in the BBI report.
Nothing.
The question is, in 2010, and I remember Bishop Markis here is going to answer partly what I'm saying. We stood as the Kenya Church and we made it abundantly clear that we will not support the 2010 constitution that time. And our stand was a big no. And I remember even Bishop Mark himself making it very clear that we have voting cards. But we were told later, wacha tupitishe sasa turekebishe baadaye ni lini? Is it not now?
10 years.
No.
10 years after that. And the audit of the 2010 constitution has not been exhaustively done. That's why the Kenya church leaders are actually standing saying, we welcome the Building Preachers Initiative. There are good recommendations in this document, but we are concerned that the issues that were raised up by the church have been ignored. Maybe Bishop Mark.
Maybe I answer this again, sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Have you sought audience with the chief principals driving the BBI? What is their response if you've taken that step so that it does not only appear that you are appearing in the press conference?
And if you answer that, Bishop, what are these issues?
You know, we are all Kenyans, and every Kenyan has a right. As the church, we presented our desires and desires in the 2010 Constitution. They were ignored. When the BBI team, task force, started off, we presented our desires and our memorandum to them. Up to and including now, what we can say is the church has been ignored.
Yes.
In other words, those concerned are taking the church for granted, because we have presented. We went there. We presented our documents. We made our presentations, but they have not been captured. Don't forget that according to the census, the last census, we are 82% Christian. And what eventually we are going to do is that we are going to rally behind ourselves.
Exactly.
The church to come together.
Yes.
And say from the church, we are now presenting a candidate in every constituency who will have the interest of the church. And we have the capacity and the ability to do that. 2010, I was the chief campaign officer of the church. I ran all over presenting the issues of the church. We have put them down and we have presented them, but they have been ignored. We capture and we appreciate the spirit of the BBI, Building Bridges Initiative. There is no D there representing destroying bridges. So what we need to do is to make sure that all the bridges are repaired, including the bridge of the church.
Exactly.
That is repaired.
Right.
If it is not repaired, we have a right. We have a right as a church, and we will stand and say we are not taking that direction. We appreciate the president, and we support the president for the idea of building the bridges. But let us build all the bridges. Let us have everybody included in the game. Let us not push as if we are doing it for someone. In fact, if I was to say it myself, this is not from the church, but for me, I would say, if it means extending the term of the current government to create room for the BBI to be debated and to build these bridges, we would go for that. so that we have enough time for everybody to participate and everybody to feel equally represented, that we don't have these people against these people, we don't have this group against this group, and we don't have lobbying where this group is lobbying. You receive ours and we will support yours, support ours, we will support yours, because that is where the problem was in 2010. Correct. That's why even the one-third gender representation came in and has brought us to where we are. We need to sit down and depoliticize. Right. Let us depoliticize this thing and let us work it out so that everybody is included, because we have the nation at heart, not the positions in our heads. Thank you very much.
And we want to make it very clear, please, our political leaders, wherever you are, be careful with what comes out of your mouth. When you say this document has been closed and it cannot be opened, what are you trying to tell Kenyans? We believe in the principle of collective decision making. Let's repair all the breaches and not leave others unrepaired.
Bishop Kariki, you have said that you paid your candidates, if at all you're concerned.
They have the documents. I don't have the document with me. So, and I don't have them. I have the scriptures on my fingertips, not the issues. But when it comes to presenting, if they want us to present again, we will do that.
We have the copy.
And that's why we have said over here, we will present our recommendations and proposed amendments on the issues the church raised in 2010 and our proposed constitutional amendments through our lawyers to the handshake principles. So we don't have that here, but we have it in a memorandum.
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I think you not responded to my concern whether you have said sought audience with the president of.
I think we have made it very clear that we are seeking an audience. We have had that before, but we are seeking for another audience because of the speed at which this process is being hurried. We are concerned and a bit skeptical.
Very much.
I think let's have Bishop Michuki now handle the rest briefly.
Kuna Shoro.
Kuja hapa Bishop.
Kuna ya Kikuyu.
Angalia kama iko ndio siongee bure.
Iko ndio siongee bure. Gani hiyo?
Tuko na Inoro, tuko na zile zingine.
Haya.
Alafu kipo sawa. Tupatie hizo tusaini kwa time.
Thank you very much. Ni wega muno andu reporters yaitu aria mokite ithuĩ twĩ kĩngano gĩtagwo Kenya Council of Church Alliances and Ministries. Kĩu nĩ kĩũngano kĩrĩa gĩtukanĩtio andũ metagwo Pentecostals, Evangelicals na Charismatic, othe twĩ haha twĩ atongoria a makanitha, na tũcokanĩrĩire nĩ ũndũ wa kĩndũ kĩmwe gĩtagwo kũgĩa ndundu ya kũrania BBI nĩkĩ na BBI renda atĩa, nĩkĩ gĩagiririe marore maũndũ maitũ marĩa twekire twamanengerire ithuĩ tũrĩ makanitha, na twarora thĩinĩ wa BBI report hatirĩ handũ ona hamwe kanitha ĩcokeirio kĩũria. Kwa ũndũ ũcio nĩkĩo twĩ haha na nĩ twandĩkĩte memorandum haha, na twandĩkĩte press statement haha ĩrĩa yathomwo nĩ chairman witũ, yathomwo na gĩthũngũ, na nĩ ngwenda kuga atĩ BBI ũrĩa ithuĩ tũmĩũĩ na ũrĩa twamĩiguire nĩ ya kũrehe bũrũri witũ hamwe, gũtikagĩe kwĩkabire gũtigwo na thutha na gũtikagĩe gĩkundi gũtigwo na thutha. No rĩu ũrĩa tũrona nĩ atĩ BBI nĩ yoetwo na ihenya mũno na gũtengerio, na tukauga nĩkĩ kĩratũma hihi ĩtengerio na ihenya. Tukauga ĩno nĩ thabarĩ twambĩrĩirie 2010, na kĩrĩa gĩatũmire 2010 gũgĩe na no na yes kana kuga ĩĩ kana aca yatuĩkire nĩ ũndũ wa kũgayanio nĩ ateti, na nĩ tũrakĩamũkĩra kĩheo kĩu kĩa kũgeithania kĩa President witũ Uhuru Muigai wa Kenyatta na right Prime Minister Raila Odinga, tondũ nĩ tuonirie ũhoro ũcio nĩguo wagĩrĩire nĩgetha andũ mageithanie na nigetha twake daraca iria ciamomokete 2010 no tugakiuria atiriri daraca ici ingiakika atia angikorwo tutirathikiririo ithuĩ twĩ kanitha nĩ twarĩtie hĩndĩ ya referendum nĩ ithuĩ hĩndĩ ya referendum 2010 nĩ tũraririe hĩndĩ ĩngĩ turerwo ningĩ memorandum itũ nĩ kũrorwo gũtirĩ kĩndũ kĩroretwo ona rĩu twĩna mĩaka 10 maũndũ marĩa twarĩtie ti mahinge ningĩ twambĩrĩria maũndũ mangĩ ma BBI turenda kuga atĩrĩrĩ tũthikĩrĩrio na gũtikage gũtuĩka atĩ BBI nĩ yahingwo gũtirĩ handũ ithuĩ tũngĩona mweke wa kwaria tutingĩraria mũthenya wa ũmũthĩ korwo maũndũ macio nĩ ma addressirwo thĩinĩ wa maũndũ marĩa rĩu tũrona thĩinĩ wa BBI na kũndũ ũcio tũruga atĩrĩrĩ maũndũ maya ma kũnyitanĩra na building the bridges nĩ mega mũno no nĩ tũkwenda tũtuĩke accommodated ithuĩ twĩ kanitha maũndũ marĩa twarĩtie hĩndĩ ya 2020 nĩ kwarĩ na ũhoro wa homosexual na maũndũ ma abortion na maũndũ macio nĩ twaregire ona ũmũthĩ no tũrarega na iko maũndũ macio nĩ makuoneka kahinda matonyo kũu no tũkũrega na tũrauga atĩrĩrĩ twaranĩrie nĩkĩo tũrera president witũ etĩkĩre twaranĩrie na principal gwĩtwo the former prime minister twaranĩrie na arĩa othe makonainie na ũhoro twaranĩrie nĩgetha tũgĩthiĩ thĩinĩ wa elections tũthiĩ twĩ kĩndũ kĩmwe okorwo nĩ referendum tũgwĩka tũthiĩ kwĩ kĩndũ kĩmwe okorwo nĩ gũthondekwo thĩinĩ wa parliament tondũ to mũhaka tũthiĩ referendum tũgatũmĩre mbeca nyingĩ no ĩthondekwo tondũ tũrĩ hamwe ithuothe ũndũ ũcio tũrauga atĩrĩrĩ mugi ũrĩa uga haha uga atĩ nĩ tũkũgĩa na ũndũ wa kũrũgamia andũ aitũ thĩinĩ wa bũrũri ũyũ thĩinĩ wa counties matuĩke MCAs matuĩke members of parliament nĩgetha matũrĩ present andũ angĩkorwo tũraneana nyamũ ta ici nĩ tũraiguo rĩ tũngĩka atĩa tiga tũrũgamirie andũ aitũ we are 82% thĩinĩ wa bũrũri ũyũ na nĩtũramenya no tũiguo nĩ andũ arĩa tũtungatagĩra. Thank you.
Asante sana, asante sana. Thank you, Bishop. Thank you.
Itasaini hiki. Can we sign? Can we sign this? Sign the document. Jao. Come and sign it. But you sign it now, no? Sawa. Etani ile wapi kimso? Oh. Sign the document. Ala, we need to sign the document.
Yeah. Oh.
Bishop, we say nothing. Yeah. Yes. Can I